Hey, yo, you're doing all right? I'm doing all right. I got a lot of history books here that I've been reading all day long, trying to catch up on American history. Some of it is world history because, you can't really be effective on American history without studying world history because we're all connected. This thing is, today is Liberation Day. Happy Liberation Day, y'all. Happy Liberation Day to you. Happy, happy, happy Liberation Day. And today the market went kapoosh, bam, zoom, poof, shazam. And I was watching CNN, and then let's see, was it CNN?
Not to see him react to the stock market directly because of this. Instead, he has said repeatedly now that he believes there will be some short-term pain. So I'd keep that in mind as well as we cover this. Pamela?
All right, Elena Treen, thank you so much. Wolf?
All right, Pamela, as we mentioned, analysts now say that President Trump's tariffs will likely plunge the global economy into recession this year. Some countries say they're hoping they can negotiate with the U.S., while others have vowed swift retaliation. Listen.
で、アメリカ政府に対しましてはこれまで
We had been requesting the U.S. government to review its unilateral tariff measures at various levels, and we are extremely disappointed and regret that such measures have been implemented nonetheless.
Our intention remains to secure a deal, but nothing is off the table.
We will continue to make the strongest case for these unjustified tariffs to be removed from our exporters.
We are going to fight these tariffs with countermeasures. We are going to protect our workers.
The entire global economy will suffer from these ill-considered decisions.
Wow, ill-considered decisions. Boy, the whole world is pissed off at Donald Trump. And I'm going to give y'all a history lesson of why Trump did what he did. He had a good reason. He's just going at it at a really bad way. See you in 60. You good. Don't stop it. Bass.
It's the show that will get you thinking, and where the topics are hot. Feel free to comment whether we agree or not, 'cause he's got something to say.
Sirwalterj Jones. Sirwalterj Jones.
He's got something to say. Sirwalterj Jones.
Sirwalterj Jones.
Reporting live 7 days a week, always on time, but his time is not free. Sirwalterj Jones, always on fleek. Latest trending topics had you jumping out your seat.
He's got something to say.
Come on in,
boys. The water is fine.
Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is the evening edition. Baby. How y'all was coming to Waterfine. Y'all doing all right? Good to see y'all. Shining and Natasha and Nicole and Janice and David and Kim and all y'all out there. It's so good to see. It's so good to know the Savior. A global impact is here. Hey, you gonna learn something today, young man. You gonna learn something today. I was reading through this Democracy in America. This is a thick book here. I've been sitting here all day trying to figure out what is he doing? Why? And I remember watching, Ferris Bueller Day Off, and I played the little clip, Bueller. Last week, I remember that? And I was playing the Howley Moot thing that in the 1930s that America decided to put tariffs and it screwed up our economy. Why? Because it's too late. Here was the part 2 to that.
Class, today's lesson is about tariffs. Now, tariffs may sound boring, but they're not boring. They're scary. Tariffs raise prices on things Americans buy every day, and we buy a lot of things. Do they work? No, they don't work. Then why are we doing it? Anyone know? Anyone?
I'm not sure, but my best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from an economist who said that tariffs will raise prices on everything from clothes to cars. I guess it's pretty serious.
Thank you, Simone. That's right.
No problem whatsoever.
Tariffs raise taxes on hardworking Americans. It's not complicated. Trade wars don't work. They never work. It's not just sometimes, they never work. Tariffs are BAD economics. Bad economics. Bad.
Bad. Bad. Democracy in America. Great book. It's about 1 million pages. I thumbed through it. Got a headache. These are books from my high school, y'all. From high school to college. Western Civilization, Ideas, Politics, and Social, Third Society, that is, 3rd edition. As you can see how dirty and dusty it is. Woo-wee! I thumbed through here. I think I caught a cold and the flu and COVID and all kinds of stuff going through this book. I think it was some ants and some spiders in here, and it was a whole colony living in this book. All right, I'm thumbing through there to see if I can find some stuff, and boy, did I find some stuff. And then the national experience. This is a history of the United States since 1865. And I'm looking through here saying, is there anything in here that I could think about that I could read on pre-tax? Oh, boy, did I find some stuff. I found some stuff in here that blew my mind. And then I picked up this book here from when I was teaching history in the South Dakota, The American Journey. This right here, National Geographic. I was looking through here, and you know what? I think I stole this book because my name is in here. And I think I might have stole this book. Too bad the school didn't last very long. All right, so here are the articles of and the Constitution and all this other stuff. But I was looking for pre-tax information, and boy, did I find stuff in this book here. Oh boy, it smells like the 1850s. Okay, and then. You can't talk about American history without talking about world history. World to the history here, right there. And I went through here and I tried to find out what's going on in other nations, and I found something. Islamic civilization. And that chapter right there is quite important. All right? This is going to be a history lesson, you all. If you ain't got nothing to do, hang with me. But if you got something to do and you can't do some critical thinking tonight, I'm sorry. This is too advanced for some of you. There is a pre-tax survival that America went through. We didn't need the income tax. We lived off of the tariffs. And so when Donald Trump says, make America great again, he didn't come up with that. That's actually Ronald Reagan's slogan. But Reagan was a representation of Nixon, who was a representation of Eisenhower, who was a representation, it goes back, all right, of the always. That's going to have to be another show. Spit went down the wrong esophagus. I got 2 esophaguses, y'all. So how America was funded. So when I was reading through these books, I sat at my pad and I'm taking notes, and I'm taking notes as much as I can. It took me all day to get to this place, and I'm taking notes. And so I'm gonna talk to you about the notes that I found in these books, and then I'm gonna tell you why Trump is doing what he's doing. Trump is doing what he's doing because he's always talked this way. Last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was telling y'all why. And I played videos from early 1990s. I talked about him being a Russian asset. Remember that? But his talking points was always about America is always getting the shaft. And he often, when he speaks of America, he often speaks of America in the negative. He's always talked that way. This is the only time that I can tell you that Trump has never changed. He is the same guy. He lies, yes. Every other word comes out of his mouth is a lie, but he lies about the same thing. He don't change. He has always been upset with the other nations, and because he's a businessman and he keep crunching the number, he feels that America kept getting the lower portion of the feed, and guess what? He's right. He's right. What he's doing is dangerous. Why he's doing it can be interpreted as a good thing depending on who agree with the conservatism of Trump. See, there's a couple of conservatives. There's traditional conservatism, and then there's Trump conservatism. You understand? There's the deranged Trumpism that's there, which they coined that phrase for the liberals, but there is a derangement on the right. All right, MAGA is a different conservatism that just came up. Okay, but it's not new. It is the conservatism of Georgia, of what's his name down in Alabama, the governor who was just driving black folks crazy back in the civil rights time. Okay, and Bull Connor. That is the MAGA of today, Bull Connor. You need to know that. All right. So as I was taking the notes, I discovered history. How America was funded before the federal income tax became law in 1913. You got to go back before 1913 or you won't get it. You won't get it. It's going to be bigly. You understand, Patricia? You understand, Gail? Well, the U.S. government relied on various funding methods to sustain itself. The United States emerged from the Revolutionary Wars, remember that, with significant debt. Because war is costly. It costs a lot of money, but it makes somebody a whole bunch of money. Remember the Iraq war, George Bush and his vice president, Cheney, made a lot of money. Why? Because it's all about contracts in the rebuilding process. George Wallace, yes. Strom Thurmond, yes. Come on, y'all got it. Y'all got it. Hang with me. All right, so 1789. The Revolutionary War. We needed money. So after the Constitution took effect, tariffs became the government's main revenue source. Tariffs. A tariff is essentially a tax on imported goods. Y'all been hearing about that since you've been hearing about it. All right. So the government could finance itself without citizens directly. Wouldn't that be wonderful today? Alexander Hamilton, not the play, but the real guy, the first Secretary of Treasury, supported tariffs as a way to generate funds and encourage domestic manufacturing between the 1789 and the 19th century. Tariffs seems, it was a tariff on textiles and iron and other goods. They were a reliable revenue source, providing over 90% of federal income. And some years, this made tariffs politically significant, but also stirred debate about how it impacted different economic sectors, though. But tariffs alone weren't always enough. So the United States also turned to what's called excise taxes. Go ahead, Google it for me. Right, just Google excise tax on what? Specific goods. Fast forward, 1791. Congress passed the first federal excise tax on domestic whiskey. You drunks out there, I'm sorry to tell you, this is what happened to your great-great-grandfather. Whiskey production to help pay off the war debt. So this led to the Whiskey Rebellion. I read it in that book, The Whiskey Rebellion. I remember reading it in high school and grammar school, 1794, when small farmers in Pennsylvania protested against what they saw as an unfair burden against the drunks. So President George Washington responded by sending federal troops to enforce that law. So this was one of the first tests of federal authority over state and local resistance. Shame on you, America. Okay, although unpopular, excise taxes, items like whiskey and tobacco and the horse carriages back then, remained an important revenue source, proving the government can impose and enforce taxes. Once they bit the hooch, they said, we can keep this going. An excise or excise tax is any duty on manufactured goods that is normally levied at the moment of manufacture. That's important for internal consumption rather than at sale, at retail. It is therefore a fee that must be paid in order to consume certain products. the excise tax. Y'all get it. Y'all understand. Y'all caught up? Good. I'm so glad you caught up. So, as the U.S. acquired new territories, y'all, if you are a Native American, if you're an American Indian, this part is going to hurt you. As the United States acquired new territory lands, there was a land sale, and it became another key revenue for the United States income system. Land. You were offered 40 acres in the Mew, but you didn't get it. Why? That was too much to give to you. Abraham Lincoln said, let's do it. But Andrew Jackson said, no, we can't do that. That land is costly. So the land ordinance of 1785 and the Northwest ordinance of 1787 laid the foundation of public land sales in right here in Illinois. And below me, that is in Indiana, in Ohio, over there. So during this westward expansion, public land sales became a lucrative business, y'all, lucrative revenue source. Then the Louisiana Purchase, sorry, Native Americans, the Trail of Tears, 1803, and subsequent acquisitions provided millions of acres for sale to settlers and spectators. From 1820s to the 1840s, federal land sales generated millions of dollars each year, allowing the government to raise funds while encouraging settlement of the western frontier. They was giving y'all's 40 acres away to the same man who enslaved you, same families. Y'all understand? And they were stealing the land that you did own. So this system had a drawback, as revenue from the land sales fluctuated based on economic conditions, unfortunately. So, for example, after the Panic of 1837, land sales and other revenue plummeted, highlighted the limitations of relying on land for consistent government funding. The Civil War marked a turning point in U.S. funding strategies, with the Union facing unprecedented expenses. The Union, it was costly. Even though they was winning, it was costly, okay? It was expensive. Congress passed the nation's first federal income tax in 1861. So when y'all said 1913 was the first passing of the federal income tax, no, it was 100 years prior, almost. 1861. They had to fund their great Civil War. This tax was designed as a temporary measure to raise money quickly during wartime. So the tax was progressive, meaning higher income tax at higher rates, which is the same concept of income tax today. It was supposed to be temporary, and it was temporary. The Revenue Act of 1861 set the tax at 3% on income over $800. That was a good money back then, and subsequent amendments increased the rate and expanded who is taxed. Although controversial, the income tax helped finance the war effort, bringing roughly $350 million, y'all, by the war end. Howsoever, with the war over, Congress repealed the tax in 1872. And then what did they do? They returned back to tariffs and excise taxes. So income tax was a no-no. It was only supposed to have been temporary. Let's get back to tariffs, because that is what funded America. Are y'all still with me? If only Richard Nixon had followed suit with the temporary removing of the gold standard, we would not be in the situation we are in right now. Maybe y'all don't remember this.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. Now, what is this action which is very technical. What does it mean for you? Let me lay to rest the bugaboo of what is called devaluation. If you want to buy a foreign car or take a trip abroad, market conditions may cause your dollar to buy slightly less. But if you are among the overwhelming majority of Americans who buy American-made products in America, your dollar will be worth just as much tomorrow as it is today. The effect of this action, in other words, will be to stabilize the dollar.
He did that to stabilize the dollar. He had to do it. If he didn't do it, other nations were coming to America to get their gold. You see, you used to be able to go to the bank with gold and get a dollar in exchange of your gold. You used to be able to take a dollar, go to the bank and get gold. You can't do that no more. Matter of fact, buying gold was illegal at one time. Couldn't buy it. The other nations were realizing that the United States was spending too much money, especially on the war efforts and on defense and what have you, and it was devaluing the dollar. Well, the dollar was the world system. Through the Bretton Woods Agreement, the dollar was the world system. You can take a dollar and go anywhere around the world and do all right. But when you're devaluing the dollar, then the other nations were like, oh, no, we can't do this. So what he did was he removed the protection. So he was caught between a rock and a hard place. He actually had to do it. The problem was if the nation did stabilize, he was supposed to put it back. He never did. History don't repeat itself, but it sure do rhyme. So as the United States moved into the Gilded Age, tariffs once again became the dominant funding source. High tariffs protected American industries, but created political tension, especially between the industrial North, which benefited from protectionism, and the agricultural South, which wanted lower tariffs for cheaper imports. So the McKinley Tariff of 1890 raised rates to an all-time high. While it generated revenue, it fueled debate about inequality and economic fairness. Oh, history don't repeat itself. It sure do rhyme. By the 1890s, calls for reform grew as tariffs alone couldn't provide a stable revenue base. And fluctuating trade meant the government often faced budget shortfalls. We could not survive without an income tax because the tariffs just wasn't enough. The 1894 Wilson-Gorman attempted to address this by including an income tax provision. However, the Supreme Court struck it down. Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company, 1895 ruling it is unconstitutional since it wasn't apportioned according to population. And this decision underscored the need for a constitutional amendment if the United States was ever to have a lasting income tax. I read it in these books, y'all. It's in the books. So after years of debate and economic instability, the push for a permanent income tax, here's where you all come in. Show me your W-2 and your W-4. A permanent income tax gained momentum. So 1909, when your great-great-grandfather was born, Congress proposed the 16th Amendment. Go ahead and read it for yourself. To allow a federal income tax without apportioning it among states by population. So by 1913, it took us a while to get here. By 1913, enough states had ratified the amendment, officially empowering Congress to collect income taxes from you. That's right. That's when it happened. So the Revenue Act of 1913, y'all, established the first modern income tax, setting 1% tax on income over $3,000 and reaching up to about 7% on higher incomes. This tax system soon replaced tariffs. We're catching up. Are we caught up yet? We sure catching up. The income tax replaced tariffs as the main revenue source, reshaping American fiscal policy. All right. Where does Trump come in on here? Trump have always wanted to return back to the heydays. Trump, we thought, wanted to crash the market when he started to put tariffs on Mexico and Canada and China. Crash the market, or so that he can fix the interest rate. That's not what he really wanted. That effect could have been that could have been the effect, and he would have killed two birds with one stone. I will say that. Oh, he would have did all right if that did happen. But once upon a time, boys and girls, come close. Come here. Get your marshmallows. Here's the real reason. Once upon a time, we had a booming steel business right here in Indiana called U.S. Steel. Anybody remember that? And if you go to Gary, Indiana right now, it is a ghost town. Those steel plants are still there, but it got spider webs. Once upon a time, you could travel down there to Detroit. Anybody from Detroit? Anybody live there right now? And there was a booming manufacturing industry there. Once upon a time. On December the 8th, 1993, a very famous saxophone player who just happened to be the governor of our Arkansas. They said he was the first black president. Bill Clinton signed the North American Free Trade Agreement. Y'all know it as NAFTA. Donald Trump, in his news press thing yesterday, mentioned NAFTA. Y'all remember when he said it? Y'all remember, right? NAFTA. This meant that corporations could break the unions and move to Canada or fire American workers and get cheap labor in Mexico. NAFTA helped to break the backs of the American hard worker, what we may call a working stiff. Y'all, are you still with me? You still with me? So Donald Trump's reciprocal tariff is what he calls it. It triggered a $3 trillion investment in the U.S. economy by corporations making a vow to him. He says 6 to 7 trillion, but we know that Trump is a malignant, narcissistic liar. It's not 6 to 7 trillion. No, it is 3 trillion as of this recording. The United Arab Emirates, okay, the UAE, made a vow of 1.4 trillion that they're going to deal with us in business. Saudi Arabia, 600 billion. Apple, that phone you got in your pocket, $500 billion over the next 5 years. That means that's over the life of Trump's administration, 4 years. All right, Apple. That's why you saw those big tech people down there at the White House yesterday. OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank said $500 billion. Siemens, $285 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Hyundai, $20 billion. Eli Lilly, all these companies, all right, $3 trillion. These are their vows that they are making, saying, okay, if this is what you want to do, we will bring our business home. You what? You GI born and raised, okay, U.S. Steel was the largest steel industry in the world. My daddy worked there 46 and a half years. See what I tell y'all? See what I tell you? You can't work there now. So in 1945, let's go back. Let's go back to Egypt. It is Egypt. 1945, after World War II, here is where America messed up. Here's where America messed up, y'all. $1945. After World War II, we decided to help rebuild the whole world. Sorry, baby girl, I'm live. Baby girl got to wait. She got to wait this time. I'm putting my foot down, baby girl. You're going to have to wait. 1945, after World War II, we decided to help rebuild the war. In doing this, we decided to take our tariffs down. Here's where our mistake was. We took our tariffs down and let other nations keep theirs up. And then export the power of our economy to help them rebuild. Export, 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 export. It was called the Marshall Plan, and it was about trade. Let's see if we can go to the Marshall Plan and see what it's all about, boys and girls. Y'all heard of the Marshall Plan? I'm sure some of y'all did. The Marshall Plan, officially the European Recovery Program, was a U.S. initiative to aid Western Europeans' economic recovery after World War II, providing billions in aid to rebuild infrastructure and foster trade, ultimately contributing to the region's prosperity and stability. Yes, we did that. Come on, William Hill. Come on, man. The plan was named after U.S. Secretary of State George C. Marshall, who proposed it. The Marshall Plan aimed to rebuild war-torn European economies, prevent the spread of communism, foster economic cooperation and trade between Europe nations and the United States. The plan was approved by Congress. In the economic cooperation, blah, blah, blah. It spanned from 1948 to 1951, with the United States providing $13 billion in aid, equivalent to $150 billion today. 16 European nations benefited from that, y'all. Y'all see that? Okay, it provided all this other stuff, cash, technologies, raw materials, on and on. The impact, the Marshall Plan played a crucial role in economic recovery. It helped to control inflation, revive trade, restore production, fostered sense of cooperation and unity among European nations. It contributed to the rise of the European Economic Community. And then the Soviets, they hated it. The Soviet Union viewed the Marshall Plan as a tool of American influence, which was true. Russia got it right and rejected this thing. They said, we don't want no part of it. Russia always hated us for this. And they created their own economic aid, the Council of Mutual Economic Assistance. Okay, so the Marshall Plan is considered one of the most successful foreign aid programs in world history. It demonstrated the power of economic assistance in promoting stability and cooperation. It became a model for future foreign initiatives. Yes, it did, y'all. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And look at this. Look at this.
Before DOGE, there was Bill Clinton. He cut 400,000 federal jobs, and Al Gore was the executioner.
This report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
The Reinventing Government, or RIGO, report aims to save $108 billion over 5 years through eliminating scores of wasteful programs and regulations. Among the 800 recommendations, eliminating 12% of the federal workforce, merging some government agencies like the FBI, the DEA, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, closing hundreds of government offices outside Washington.
From the day I took
Remember when I played the Obama thing yesterday? And I said that Obama, before there was Trump, Obama was cutting, slashing. It's a Toyota-thon. We're slashing the sales. 50% off. Come on in right now. Everything must go. And all the government buildings, they went. Under Obama. Well, it happened under Clinton, too. It happened under Clinton before Obama. Y'all understand? Y'all often say that they often talk about the liberals and the Democrats, not, all about big business, big government, big this, big that. But these two presidents who were liberals was cutting and slicing and slashing. So what's happening is the Republicans are pulling these videos up because they forgot too. The liberals forgot, but they forgot too. And they was like, what's wrong with you people? It's a good thing that Trump is cutting this and cutting that and cutting this, cutting this. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And liberals like, no, it's not a good thing. But the liberals forgot that Clinton and Barack Obama did a whole bunch of cutting. Folks did lose their jobs during Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. Both sides. And people often ask me, what's the difference between a liberal and a conservative or a Republican and a Democrat? I often say $5. $5. That's the only difference between those two people. They are the same beast. One is on the back of the $5, and the other one's has the face of the $5. That's all. They're the same, y'all. The same. So, World War II. We became a superpower. We helped everybody through the Marshall Plan. More wars came. The Korean War came. The Vietnam War came. All these other scuffles came. Decades passed. But guess what? We forgot to reset the tariff term. Remember Richard Nixon, who forgot or on purpose? Well, he didn't forget or was it on purpose? He lost his office because he was a thief. So the next president should say, hey, wait, we got to put this gold back onto the dollar or we're going to screw up. America loves to forget. We didn't reset the plan. We left our doors open, our skirts open. We left our zippers unzipped, our pants unzipped, and we walked outside. America did that. That's what our mistake was. So other nations kept their tariffs high. It still is high today. So by the 2000s, America had the lowest trade policies in the world, averaging around 3 to 4%, compared to the other nations who had much higher numbers, tariffs. And let me tell y'all something you probably don't know. There is no country in the world that has what's called free trade. Not a one. Not a one. America had the power. You had it in your hands and you let it slip through because you're too nice. Donald Trump is America's savior. That's why they love him. And he's spitting in other nations' faces because they didn't pay the bill. We all kept going out to eat, and America keep getting the check. The problem, again, is he's going at this all wrong. You do not become the captain of an old ship and you turn it at warp speed because stuff is going to start falling off that ship. Good to see you, Ronnie Buchanan. Ronnie is me and him love Trump. We are lovers. We are lovers of old Trump. We love him dearly. Y'all understand what's happening here? No free trade nations, nowhere. So here it is. Somebody told us that the customer is always right. Well, guess who's the customer when it comes to world affairs? America. America is the customer. Why am I saying that? The United States is the biggest consumer. It's 30% of global consumption, United States. It's the biggest consumer in the world. We buy crap from everybody. We are big consumers. So therefore, we hold most of the leverage. we hold the leverage. Because if the customer is always right, all these other nations are selling to us, and they're surviving. They're making a killing off of the United States. So the United States, as the customer, walk into the restaurant and say, I don't like that steak. I told you to make it medium well, and I see blood coming out of this thing. I'm going to give you a chance. Now go back there and redo it. And it comes back and still got some blood in it. Nope, I'm not coming here. And then America, through Trump, went on Yelp. Went on Yelp and gave the world a bad review. Y'all see what I'm doing here, right? Anybody understand what I'm doing here? A bad review. And the other nations see the bad review on Yelp and they are peed off. And so he knew that they was going to be peed off. And so he decided to do what's called a reciprocal tariff. Oh, you peed off? So you want to give us a bad review? Well, we're going to give you an even worse review. And all of this is going to come at the cost of you. At the cost of you. You're going to feel it in your pocket. It's not going to happen overnight. The world is not, the sky is not falling just yet, you all. All right? Over time. Will there be a recession? We don't know. And like I said in the finance room earlier, that people are looking for Y2Ks to happen, and Y2K never came. So when you're looking for the big event never really happens when everybody's looking for the big event. I just don't. The event may happen, but it's not as big as you thought. All right? So an event will happen. We saw it in the stock market today. And if you were a wise investor, you would have bought the dip. When that market opened this morning, it was so volatile, man, it was dropping like crazy. And I said, ooh, look at all these sales. Look at everything is on sale. I just started buying up because wealth transfer is happening right now, right before our eyes, and we're focusing on one guy, one guy. So what he did was the right thing at the wrong time. And then he rolled it off too big. And what it's going to do is hurt us in the future because it is setting up a bad seed of vindictive remorse. Their hearts will be seared, and their bowels of compassion. It's just all our friends hate us right now. And let me tell you, it's going to be like the Hatfields and the McCoys. Is that them? They ain't never got back together. The Montagues and the Capulets. And they never came back together. Just never came back together. And at one time they were neighbors. At one time they were friends at one time. And so Trump is stirring up this thing with our neighbors. Our neighbors know he's not going to be here that long. But it doesn't matter. Because he is representing the sentiment of over 80-something million people who voted for him. So our friends are not as stupid as you think they are. They know that one man did this, but one man did this through 80-something million people. And Ronnie Buchanan was one of them. Which means when Trump is gone and God removes him, those 80-something million people will still be here. And the other nation says, fool me once, shame on me. But fool me twice. Shame on you. Midterms are coming, y'all. And you lazy folk got a history lesson this past November. I bet you're going to get your butt up next time, won't you? Yep. The Hatfields and the McCoys, they're still fighting today. So we had friends. We don't have them anymore. You can't even sing the Star Spangled Banner over in Canada without getting booed. And y'all like, it ain't my fault. I didn't vote for him. They don't know. They don't know if you voted for him or not. One man represents the whole nation. Like you all supposed to represent heaven. You're supposed to be ambassadors for Christ. Ronnie is an ambassador for MAGA. You know, I actually like Ronnie. I actually like Ronnie Buchanan. I like him. I like him because he don't give up. Listen, if I was in a fight with somebody who or a group of people who I didn't think I was going to win, and if Ronnie was on my side, I'd win. I'd win. Ronnie would give his life. He would give his life. Because you see how dedicated he is to MAGA? He would give his life to save mine. That's why I like Ronnie. I like a fighter. I am a critical thinker. And I like people who think critically. Okay? I like it when they think critically. Instead of being emotional. Even when the critical is false. Even when it's false. What you say, Pastor? Todd Hall called this when he went into Tesla fest. Pastor Vic. Yeah, I like him. All right. That's why he's still here. That's why he ain't been blocked and banned from the channel, because I like him. All right, so what are y'all going to do? He said, absolutely. What are y'all going to do? Well, stay focused. Don't worry about what's going on here. But do me a favor, keep your eyes open, though. I know, don't say woke, because people, that whole woke thing, they hijacked woke. They hijacked the word Christianity too. Christian, they hijacked that too as well. I don't even like the word. I don't even like it. I know we see it in the scriptures, but it was really a derogatory term. Them Christians at Antioch. It wasn't really it. I am considered part of the body of Christ. I am a son. That's what I am. So in certain areas, I'll say I'm a Christian, but I don't like saying that. I just don't. So our words are being hijacked. So Trump is doing this because he has a George Bush Jr. was after Osama bin Laden. Can y'all tell me why? I basically gave you a hint. I gave you a hint. Can y'all tell me why George Bush Jr. went so heavy and hard after Osama bin Laden? And that would be the answer for why Donald Trump is doing what he's doing with tariffs. How are we going to get our kids to buy into this market? Open up your apps, take your money, and just tell them, here's how you buy. Buy. Do it now. Because this is temporary. The tariffs may go on and on, but this is temporary, y'all. The market's gonna go right back up. You're gonna gain what you lost. Anybody got the answer? Thank you, Precious H. He went. Yep. He was finishing his father's work. Saddam, thank you, Brown Table. I said Osama bin Laden, but it's Saddam. Remember how his daddy would say Saddam Hussein? Saddam Hussein. George went after his father's enemy. Donald Trump is going after his father's enemy. And if you don't know that, Now you know. And he took on the trait of his father. And you can see that. Some of the blacks who lived in their buildings back in the 70s, they can tell you that. They can tell you that. He is his father. His father raised him to be the way he is. And he's fighting his father's battle. And now he has the power as the president of the United States of the free world at the cost of so many of us. Losing our jobs and our 401ks and our retirements. Revenge is something else, Sherborne. Revenge, you know, God says vengeance is mine. Mm-hmm. I'm telling every young person I run into, they rather buy Jordans. Yeah, Ronnie, listen, if they're buying Jordan stocks, Nike stocks is not a Jordan stock. If they're buying Nike stock, then they're doing good. But if they're buying retail, it's a shame. It really is a shame. I have a pair of Jordans that's several years old. I just try to clean them. I haven't bought a pair of Jordans in many, many, many years. But you know what? If I did buy a pair of Jordans, I have Jordan stock. I keep saying that. I have Nike stock. So I own the stock. So basically, if I buy the shoes, I'm supporting myself. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm not even really a big fan of it, so it don't matter. All right, Shirley Johnson, you got it. Toxic masculinity. I'm going to go eat something, you all, and fill my belly, because as you all know, when I do these shows, I haven't. Tomorrow, I'll be all up in y'all's grits tomorrow about some stuff I saw from Be Heard. All right, thanks, Elder. Where Elder at? Maurice, are you here? Thanks to Maurice, messed up my Friday. All right, I want to see what we can do with this mess. With this Dr. somebody, Dr. Sirwalterj. Our video is getting ready to drop at 9 o'clock, which is about 7 minutes from now. We are dealing with this subject on Donald Trump in the upper room on Patreon, the Sirwalterj Jones Show. All right, if you sign up to the upper room, you have been in the critical thinking class. Some of those videos, we just put a $2, $3 thing on it if you just want to be a part of that little session right there, and you're done. But we're talking about Trump derangement syndrome on Patreon. We do not bring politics on Patreon. But because we're doing a critical thinking class, we have to bring up politics. And it's a good one, y'all. I can't wait for you all to comment on tonight's drop. Ooh-wee. It's gonna be good. So what do you think the white folks are telling their children? About what? About what? Because white folks ain't got to tell their children nothing, because their children already know what to do. You ever heard of the Jarian brothers? What is his name? The Jarian. And they wear ponytails. They're twins, I think. And you see them on CNBC. Nigerian. I have their options book over there somewhere. Anybody ever see them on CNBC? They are wealthy stock men. And I know them personally. I've had dinner with them, and I went to a wedding, and then the reception, and sat next to him. There's one of my openings, you'll see me dancing with a white guy on one of my openings. That's Nigerian. His daughter, I don't know how old she is. She might be 13, 14. I don't know. I'm sitting next to her, and I'm talking to him about money and stocks. And his 13-year-old interrupted the conversation, and she began to talk to me about stocks and options. And the more she talked, the more I said, number one, she know more about stocks than I do. Number two, they are raised up and trained and it's reared into them about finances. She automatically know what to do with her money. And I was like, wow. Keep talking, little girl. Keep talking. I'm taking notes from the 13-year-old. So Ronnie, you ask, what do you think the white folks are telling your children? You ain't got to tell them nothing. The kids already know what to do. They already know what to do. We, unfortunately, have a different talking point in our homes. And we typically start talking about generational wealth when it's too late. When mama done got so sick, daddy done got so sick, or then already died, now we all having a family meeting about trust funds and bank accounts and insurances and who gonna have this, we wait till they die, then we talk about it. Then we try to go to the GoFundMe and set up a GoFundMe account. That's how we talk. Not the Jones boys. Oh, absolutely not. We sat with ours a long time ago. So when the market shifts and do what it do, baby girl grab her phone. Well, what am I gonna buy today? Because Papa buying, I know Papa buying, I'm buying too. You understand? It should be a culture of investment in your family. It should be second nature. Your children should supposed to be walking down the street chewing gum and on their phones, not looking at cat videos, but looking at the stock market. You understand? Train them up right now, raise them up right now. So, because one day you're going to be old and frail and can't do nothing, and the kids, they'll take on your name from on. They'll go on with it. So God, thank you for your presence and your love. Thank you for the history lesson we got from this. I think the people got it. I think they understood. I pray for Donald Trump. I pray for him because you said and you wrote the letter in Timothy that we should pray for leaders, pray for kings, potentates, that we should lead a peaceable life here. So I pray for him and his whole administration that you be with him and whatever decision that he makes, God, you protect us. As Pharaoh, who I'm not putting him with Pharaoh, but Pharaoh was a hard taskmaster against the children of Israel. But when famine came into Egypt, you had them in a place called Goshen, and they were eating, and there was not death, and wealth was in Egypt, but in the land of Goshen. Among all of the pestilence and diseases that was happening, even during the Passover, when you said, put the blood over the door, you'll pass over, nobody died. So God, protect your people. And we'll love you for it in Jesus' name. See you on patreon.com tonight.
The 4 Women That Men Desire by Sirwalterj Jones is a women's guide to men. The authors endeavor to expose men fundamentally with his perspective on the types of women that men truly desire. He has meticulously penned a brilliant and controversial read, bold in its assertion that all women fall into one of 4 categories. Girl A, the side chick. Girl B, the mistress. Girl C, his soulmate. Or Girl D, his fatal attraction. And when a woman walks into a room, her category is showing. The For Women That Men Desire is funny, informative, and enlightening. It is a quick read and a must-have for your library. Head over to Amazon.com for your copy.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?